Hi, this is Cindy from Part-Time Permies, and today we have a little story about our lovebirds, Houdini and Lucky. So I do apologize for the wind today. It is super windy. It's just cooled off into fall-like weather and it's blustery out here. But I wanted to give you an update on Houdini and Lucky. For those of you guys who have been watching for a while, Lucky has fallen in love with one of the hens behind me. And they've shared in a number of adventures. The latest deal was that, well, Houdini hadn't gotten broody all season. Last year she had flown over the poultry netting twice to go lay eggs and then want to sit on them. In fact, one of those times where I caught her sitting on eggs outside of her coop was when we gave them eggs to raise the geese. So she was the only hen from the main flock who raised a goose. It was not actually Lucky. Lucky was raised by Silky. But she actually hasn't gone broody all year this year. She did go back to her original routine of jumping out of the fence to go hide eggs this spring. We did clip her flight feathers on one wing and she stopped jumping out. So we haven't had that problem since spring. But she did finally go broody, and that was just a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of hot. I mean, it was in the 80s. She was sitting on a nest in the coop, and she would attack me every time I tried to go gather eggs. And for those of you guys who remember her from before, from even when Justin Rhodes was here, she would try to attack me anytime I stuck my hand anywhere near her nest. So that was a pain. Plus the fact that Lucky, our goose, follows her everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So he would go up into the coop and hang out most of the day in the coop instead of guarding the flock. And he got to this point where he would walk across the nest boxes and crack eggs, and they started eating eggs. So I was really being limited by the number of eggs. In fact, I would only get eggs from under Houdini because the rest of them would be smushed. So we needed to break Houdini of her broodiness. I don't like doing that when it's super hot, but it cooled off for a few days. Perfect temperatures for breaking a broody. So I got a little dog crate. I put Houdini in that. And I was going to keep her in the barn, which I did the first night. So I'll show you some footage from when I set her up initially. Okay, so Houdini is in here. Yeah. We'll give it a couple days. I didn't want to put her in here. You hear Lucky responding to that. Oh my gosh. That goose is in love with the chicken. She is okay, Lucky. You know that? She is. He knows where she is, or which direction she's in. Mr. Lucky, you have a girlfriend who's a chicken. So yes, Lucky's in love with the chicken. We knew that before. But that chicken went broody, and that was causing problems. It's fall. It's not the time for chickens to raise chicks. So we separated the lovebirds. And someone is not happy about that. So we'll only keep her in there until she breaks her broodiness. That usually takes 2 or 3 days. And then we'll bring her back out. And I'm sure Lucky will be in heaven when she comes back. But as long as he doesn't crash the fence and try to go get her. If he starts escaping the fence, we'll have to move her crate under the coop maybe. I really just didn't want her out in the elements. It's been raining a lot. Lucky, come on now. I think once she quiets, he'll quiet. Now the problem with that was that Lucky was severely distressed. His Houdini had disappeared. Initially, he could hear her complaining in the barn. He was complaining back here in the coop, or in this run area. And he was going nuts. He was going nuts. And I thought that he would settle down after a bit, after she quieted in the barn. He kept it up all night. He was not squawking constantly all night, but basically like every half an hour to an hour, he would start up again. And it was cool. We had the windows open. My neighbors probably did too. They didn't complain to me, but Lucky was loud. He was hanging out outside the coop. He was just so not happy that his girlfriend had disappeared. So the next day, I brought her back. I put the small dog crate underneath the coop and set her up so that Lucky could hang out nearby, but she was still in Broody jail basically. And that actually worked so much better. Lucky got to hang out with her. She stayed in there. I fed her and watered her in that coop. Had no nesting material, so she couldn't build a nest. There was no eggs for her to sit on in there, because when they go broody, they stop laying eggs. And usually if you separate them like that in an area where they can't make a nesting area, it'll break their broodiness within around 3 days, give or take. So she had spent one night in the barn. She spent 2 nights in a dog crate underneath the coop. Luckily we had some decent weather, so we didn't have to worry too much about rain and all of that. But she was fairly well protected under there as well. And Lucky got to sleep right next to that crate. He slept next to that crate every night. So he was much happier and much quieter. And by the 3rd day, I let Houdini out to see if she had quit being broody, and she was good to go. Didn't go back to the nest in the coop or anything, didn't try to steal any eggs. But lesson learned. I don't know what we're gonna do if we ever lose Houdini. I mean, Lucky's gonna go nuts. He is absolutely in love with that chicken. Crazy lovebirds. And Houdini could care less, actually, but crazy lovebird story. One short night's sleep from our mistake, and we got our Houdini back with Lucky. Hi, Lucky. Are you a happy goose again? You're a happy goose. You get to hang out with your flock. And Houdini is right back over there, the one in back, behind the rooster. So Lucky's hanging out with his Houdini along with the rest of the flock now, and they are happy birds, and they're eating pasta.